May I know your response to what I said you yesterday?
I looked at him as if I was seeing him for the first time in my life, then I decided to act wisely. I said, I thought about your words, and frankly, I don't mind that we all live together.
I mean, do we all live together?
I'm trying to look weak and broken wings. And to be a woman who loves her husband. I said, Horsom, you know that I have no one in the world but you and you. For me, all my family, no matter what you do to me. I can't live without you.
I love you and you are wise.
And when he approached me, he touched me. The voice of that woman who she came from inside, and it was obvious that she was eavesdropping while she was eavesdropping.
Do I understand we're going to spend another honeymoon here, baby?
Of course, I was noticing that this woman was frustrated by my position, because of course she thought that my jealousy for my husband and my revenge for my dignity would make me leave everything to her and leave, as she wanted to get rid of me. But I discovered that what Horsom had done with me had stripped my heart of love towards him, and replaced it with double hatred for the feeling of old love. The important thing is that we continued in this situation for 3 months. And I play the role of a subjugated wife who has no will and who has no ounce of dignity. And that woman was deliberately provoking me with her dirty methods in order to lure my husband in front of me, as she was doing immoral acts with him in front of my eyes. Even when they were in their bedroom together, she deliberately made loud voices explaining what was happening inside with my husband, and of course she did that to make me jealous. But she was stupid because she didn't know that when there is no love, there is no jealousy too. I was at that time searching for the two of them, especially that woman. I knew a lot about her, including that she used her job as a nurse to steal patients. And she was fired from her job. As for me, I made my decision to start implementing what I intended to do. I intended to recover my full rights and give them a lesson that they will not forget for the rest of their lives. I started with my cheating husband. I used to give him a nerve-relaxant drug. Every day I put a few drops from him that made him over time unable to stand on his feet and not be able to hold anything in his hand, and he was no longer able to practice his normal life as a husband. Of course, relative to me, I'm comfortable because I was disgusted when he touched me. But the problem, of course, was with Heba. She could not be patient with that situation for a long time, and he was silencing her with money. Of course, he was no longer able to go to the pharmacy or work in it until he closed it completely, which of course affected Heba's dealings with him after he went bankrupt. Of course, their problems were completely far from me, because I learned that I put my work money in the bank and do not spend it at home. I used to eat outside the house, and on my day off I asked for a delivery. Frankly, sometimes I thought that I would be satisfied with this punishment, which showed the ugly face of that woman, and my husband witnessed it himself. And I was really starting to leave them and leave, but is that I bought some jewelry from her, and she was claiming that these gold jewelry belonged to her and that she wanted to sell them at a low price in order to be able to buy food, and I then found it an opportunity to buy them from her at that low price, while their price was much more than that. I wanted to return them to her after I discovered that she was stealing, but she refused to take them back again. So I kept them with me until I sell them later. I was about to leave them, asking God to compensate me for what they have taken from me by force. But suddenly something important happened that I did not expect, as I faced an accusation that almost brought me to the gallows. I will explain to you what happened. We had a neighbor in the house adjoining us, and she was an old woman. And that woman was over 75 years old. She was suffering from many diseases of old age. Unfortunately, she had no children, as she had never had children. She had only one brother, and he rarely visited her because she took her inheritance from him by force, even though she is wealthy, and does not need her inheritance, according to him. One morning, I woke up to sounds and screams. I ran out to the balcony. The shock was when I knew that they had discovered the body of the neighbor, after someone had killed her and stole it. How sad I was for that tragic news. After 3 weeks of hard work, the detectives were unable to reach the culprit yet. At that time, and when I came back from work, I heard the doorbell ringing, and after I opened the door, I found the detectives. I looked at that officer in astonishment at his presence in my apartment. I said, "What?"
He said, "Are you Dr. Naira?
"Yes, I am."
You need to be summoned to the police station."
I answered him while I was stuttering because of my anxiety and tension for this request from the detectives, and I said, "What did I do?"
The officer replied, "Please come with us."
And after we reached the room of the detective officer who is conducting the investigation, the officer asked me to sit down after taking my data and getting to know my identity. And the officer began to send the question to me. He said,
Of course, you know that the neighbor has died.
"Yes, I know."
When we unloaded the cameras, we found that you responded to them more than once.
I was visiting her recently due to my profession as a doctor, and she was very ill.
And on Tuesday, the day of the accident, did you visit her?
No, I have not visited her.
Who do you live with, doctor?
With my husband and his other wife.
Where were you on Tuesday from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m.?
I was at home.
Please leave, and we can bring you here any moment.
And after I returned home, I was surprised that Heba was going to die of fear, panic and anxiety. She was interested in what happened to me in the police station, and she was asking me with interest the types of questions that the officers asked me, which resulted in the investigations. I was amazed at her interest in me, but I thought to myself that maybe the 10 that brought us together made her sympathize with me.